Hello guys, this is the Fifth Down Huddle. Welcome to the video. Thank you for coming in however you got here. Whether it's through friends, through me, through just looking it up online, Drew Brees news. But either way, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching the video. I'm going to ask you real quick to subscribe and like the video if you enjoy the content. If you don't enjoy the content, don't bother subscribing or liking the video if it doesn't deserve a like. But yeah, if you like the content, if you like my content, subscribe, like the video. But yeah, beyond that, let's get right into it. Let's huddle up. So some big news this week. Drew Brees announced today, Tuesday, February 18th, that he is returning to the New Orleans Saints for the 2020 NFL season. It was some really interesting news because Drew Brees is a top-tier quarterback. I mean, any news with top-tier quarterbacks is bound to be interesting. But a big thing that we got to look out for is the why he's returning. I think a big part of it is that Super Bowl. He wants that Super Bowl bad. I mean, he already has one, but I think he wants another real bad. I mean, he's getting there. He's getting to the playoffs every year, and he has this great roster every year. But it just seems like he can't finish off playoff games. I think he really wants to end his career on a high note with a Super Bowl win. Go out like Peyton Manning. The difference between him and Peyton Manning is I still think Drew Brees is a top 3 quarterback. I think he still will be next year just with his arm. Peyton Manning was not a top 3 quarterback in his final year. You could see the age in him. It was the defense that carried him, and I think that Drew Brees will need some help because he's getting old, but I do think Drew Brees will still be a top 3 quarterback next year, and he might even play beyond next year if he has a really good year. Who knows? Maybe he doesn't just want to ride out on a Super Bowl. Maybe he wants a Super Bowl and he wants to keep playing if he believes he can keep playing. It's kind of an interesting thing. A big difference between quarterbacks when they decide their retirement is kind of the two ways to look at it. Either one, you play until you suck and you go out on a bad note, or you quit when you feel like you can't go any further. It's kind of hard because when you win a Super Bowl as a quarterback, of course you're thinking, well, gee, if I can win a Super Bowl, I might as well come back next year, make another run. But then you have to think to yourself, like, will I be as good next year? And it's got to be heartbreaking from a quarterback perspective. I can't imagine it, having to call it quits on your dreams and not being for sure about it. And I think that's one of the problems, or not really a problem, but one of the things with Tom Brady, him wanting to play into his late 60s, maybe, I don't know, late 40s, is that he doesn't want to call it quits when he still thinks he can throw a ball well, and he still thinks he doesn't suck. So I think Brady won't go out on a super high note. I think he'll go out when a team doesn't sign him. But Drew Brees, I think he's going to quit when he feels it's right. I don't think he felt like it was right this year. I think he felt like he left something out there on the field still to be proven. He has this great team around him. You know, Michael Thomas. It's just this great duo between him and Michael Thomas. He's got this great roster, great coach, and he just feels like he can get a Super Bowl out of this team. And I think that's really the number one reason why he's staying, is because he's saying to himself, look, I can get a Super Bowl out of this team. And even a third reason, or a third little sub thing, is Taysom Hill really ready? And that might be kind of the thought from the New Orleans Saints in bringing back Drew Brees and not saying, oh, no, stay away, Drew Brees. We want to move on. We want to get this new guy going, is kind of the question of, is Taysom Hill ready? And it'll be interesting to see next year. We saw a lot of those plays where Taysom Hill would either be lined up at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, etc. I think we will see in the 2020 season a lot more of Taysom Hill, but I think it'll be a lot more snaps at quarterback. When the Saints are up, expect Taysom Hill to go in. They're going to want to see as much of Taysom Hill as they can in order to truly gauge whether or not they want to go all in on Taysom Hill, draft, or sign a different quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater's gone. It's clear they're not going to bring him back. They're keeping Drew Brees. They're keeping Taysom Hill. Teddy Bridgewater go to another team. I don't know if he's going to succeed or not. He was 6-0 with the Saints, and he showed a lot of promise. But a big problem is is that Teddy Bridgewater, he had a really good roster around him, and a team that doesn't have a great quarterback usually doesn't have a great roster. So expect a more lowly team like the Miami Dolphins or the Bengals or the Buccaneers, if they move on from Winston, to sign him, and they don't have that great a roster as the Saints do, and they don't have that great a coach. A lot of things that fans forget, and I don't mean to trash fans because I'm an NFL fan myself, I make this mistake sometimes, is that quarterbacks, they're good, they're great, with a great roster sometimes. We sometimes kind of overgauge how great they are based on ignoring their roster. You look at Dak Prescott, and I've talked about Dak Prescott before. I'll make a video on him at some point. But he is a quarterback he's a good quarterback. He's a franchise guy, but he's only as good as the team around him. Meaning that if he for whatever reason, left the Cowboys and went to the Miami Dolphins or the Cincinnati Bengals or the Redskins with their current state of affairs, I wouldn't expect those teams to get much better. Dak Prescott is a good quarterback, but he is not a guy to raise the game. Drew Brees is a guy to raise the game. Teddy Bridgewater, I don't think he's a guy to raise the game. I think he's a guy to do just as good as the team around him. I think he'll do just as good as what you provide him with. And so that's why I think those franchise quarterbacks are really overpaid, because they have talent. Yes, that's why they're a starter in the NFL. I'm not saying they're bad quarterbacks, but what I am saying is they're not elite quarterbacks. There's a big, big mountain you got to climb to become an elite quarterback. You have to raise a team that is worse than you to a higher level. And maybe not even that. Raise a team that is as good as you to an even higher level. That's what Patrick Mahomes does. He has a great offense, but because of his X-Factor abilities, he raises that team to a new level. But yeah, back to the main point about why Drew Brees wants to come back. He's so close to a Super Bowl. He's so close to another run, another chance. It's just the idea of he's got to be more clutch. And I know that's an overused word, but it's honestly true. It's a really straightforward word. I like to use it because there's quarterbacks who are very clutch in the moment and quarterbacks who are not. And Drew Brees lately has not. If you look at the PI game from 2 years ago, when everybody freaked out over the pass interference call against the Rams that sent the Rams to the Super Bowl to inevitably lose to the Patriots. But the New Orleans Saints quarterback, Drew Brees, he threw an interception in overtime. A lot of people forget that. He had another shot. He had another drive. And yes, if the refs didn't make a terrible call, the Saints would have been able to kick a field goal, probably ice the game. Yes, that is true. That is true. They may have even scored a touchdown, ice the game. That is true. But you need a little bit of luck in football. And you get bad luck. You do get bad luck. But when you get bad luck and you have another chance to win, if you get bad luck and that was your last chance to win with refs, then I'll say, yeah, sorry to that. That is not your fault. Partially it is for getting into the position where you need to rely on perfect calls and where you don't have a double possession lead. That is your fault for getting yourself into that close game position. It could be a good fault or a bad fault. It could be a bad team staying in with a good team, or two good teams, or a good team staying low with a bad team. It's a trade-off. And it's the question of whose fault really is it. And in that PI game, yes, the call was bad, but he had another shot. I'm not saying the call wasn't bad. I'm not saying they probably would have won the game if they made the right call. That is true. But the simple fact that Drew Brees had another chance in the pass interference game was kind of the thing that said to me, well, he had another shot. And yes, I'm not saying they shouldn't have changed the rules. I like the rule change because there's been several other instances where we need that. But the idea to blame the game on the refs, to blame that play on the refs, sure, go ahead. But to blame the game, no. You got to blame that on Drew Brees and the offense. Because Drew Brees had another shot to go down the field and score a touchdown to win the game. He had another shot. They flipped the coin. The refs flipped a coin and gave him another shot. And he didn't produce. He didn't deliver. He did not score at that end of the game. And that, honestly, is Drew Brees' fault and nobody else's. He threw that pick and it threw the game. Yes, They could have won the game, but it's a coulda, woulda, shoulda. He had the chance, and he lost the final say. The final chance was Drew Brees' fault that they didn't make it. And I'm being harsh there. I know that. I might be wrong. A lot of people might, trash me on this, but that's what I believe. And I believe that if Drew Brees I like that he's coming back, but the thing is, Drew Brees, he's got to deliver in the end of playoff games. He's just gotta. He's got to deliver in the end of those games. It doesn't matter what happens with the refs. If you have a shot to win it, no matter what happened beforehand, if the refs cost you the game beforehand, well, now you have another shot. All right, no bad calls, nothing else. You have another shot. Go down the field and score. And he didn't deliver. When he had the chance at the end, he didn't deliver. And that's what mattered to me. It showed me that Drew Brees did not deliver when it mattered most. The refs didn't deliver either, but neither did Drew Brees, is the thing. So you can't say it was all the refs' fault. You can't. But yeah, Drew Brees, he's a great quarterback, but he needs to become better in the clutch. In those close games in the playoffs, he needs to get better. Because time and time again, we've seen over the last few years, Drew Brees can't seem to make it to a Super Bowl. And a big part of that is his lack of ability to close out playoff games. And I'm not saying that it's all Drew Brees' fault. That a big part of that lies on the coaching, on the defense, on the offense. But with that interception, it showed me, Drew Brees, there's other quarterbacks that would not do that, would not make a bad decision like that. Patrick Mahomes is a clutch quarterback. Tom Brady is the clutchest quarterback of all time. He doesn't throw interceptions at the end of playoff games. Take at the end of the Super Bowl, big time playoff games. He did in the Titans game, I'll give you that. But come on, 14 seconds to go 60 yards, okay. Give any other quarterback the ball, they're going to throw up a 50-50 ball. That's what happens. You throw up a 50-50 ball, 50% chance it gets picked, yada, yada. Aaron Rodgers, a little bit different. Got to give him props for what he does in those moments. I think Aaron Rodgers is better at that than Tom Brady. Tom Brady is better when he has a minute and a half. Aaron Rodgers is better at when he has 17 seconds. I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers is great at it, but he's a lot better than Brady at it. I've watched hundreds of Patriots games. I've been a Patriots fan my entire life, and I don't think I've ever seen Tom Brady when he's in those 15-second situations to pull it out and make a play. And that's kind of a jab at Brady, but I'm just being brutally honest with myself here. Aaron Rodgers is better at Brady in those final second decisions. But the thing is, at that point, it's kind of hopeless. For Brady at least. I mean, Rodgers maybe not. But Drew Brees, he needs to get more clutch. He needs to do better in clutch moments. And if he does that, that's all he needs to do. And he's got a Super Bowl run waiting for him. He's got a Super Bowl win waiting for him. He's got the team to do it. He's got the defense to do it. He's got the coach to do it. He just needs to finish off playoff games. Thank you guys for watching. Check in tomorrow, and I will see you next time.